Gallina Pinta translates to multicolored speckled hen. And I just find the name adorable. And it's an incredibly hearty stew. So we have a whole chicken cut up into individual pieces. We have a bunch of fresh cilantro with the leaves and the stems. I have 4 cloves of garlic that I peeled. And then I'm gonna add the biggest of the chile verdes. In a normal caldo de pollo in the central part of Mexico, Mexico City, the chicken is cooked with onion, carrots, garlics, bay leaves. Then here comes the Gallina Pinta. And this has just these very few ingredients. And I used to think that because it has fewer ingredients than my regular caldo de pollo, that it would be less flavorful. But I was wrong, because this is so incredibly flavorful in a very different way. A lesson learned, fewer ingredients doesn't mean less taste. So I'm adding 2 teaspoons of salt. Once the water starts to boil, if you see that there's any foam on the surface, you can remove it. Once it comes to a strong simmer, I'm gonna cover it partially and I'm gonna let this cook at medium heat for about an hour. After the meat is cooked, cooks will take all those vegetables and puree them and then add them back to the broth to make the broth much more flavorful. But what I do to mine is that I mirror those ingredients that went into the caldo de pollo and I roast them and I make a seasoning sauce for it. So in a way, I'm transforming what would be a white pozole into a green pozole, and I love the results. I'm gonna grab another Anaheim. I'm gonna put these under the broiler so that they really char. The Gallina Pinta has 3 basic things. It has the chicken that's cooking here, then it has hominy that has been soaked and then cooked until the hominy blooms. And this is the only pozole-style stew that also combines the hominy with pinto beans. My Anaheim has sweated. Remove the skin. Add the charred onion, the garlic cloves. I'm adding more cilantro. I'm just breaking it in here. So it's been about an hour. You can see how the broth has a really light color. It's like grassy and floral and just like a very fresh chicken broth. I'm gonna let the chicken cool before I shred it. I'm just gonna strain the broth in here. I'm adding a cup of the broth. I'm gonna puree this until completely smooth. This is why I decided to make this extra step, because remember we have this chicken broth that already has this really nice taste? Well, now we're going to intensify it by adding this roasted seasoning sauce. And then you need like half a pound of hominy. And then I'm adding some of the hominy broth. And then I'm adding half of a pound of pinto beans that we cooked with a white onion. Adding about a cup of the pinto bean broth. We're gonna bring these back to a simmer as I shred the chicken pieces. You wanna remove the skin and the bones. Whenever I see boiled chicken, it makes me think about my father because it's one of his favorite things to eat, and he used to eat it with crackers on the side. It needs to cook for like 8 to 10 more minutes so that all of the flavors here really come together. You know, Chiltepín chiles really have everything that a chile wants to have. It has feisty heat. It has the personality because they're adorable and cute, but it really has this strong taste. And you need to use very little to get a lot from it. How cute. I get the chewy, sweet bite from the hominy, and then that earthy creaminess from the pintos, then the chiltepin combined with the lime juice. And the broth, it's like very hearty. I was gonna say one pot meal, but you needed to use many pots. But it is the perfect one bowl meal.